Greetings and welcome back to the Osha Cerese Show. I am your host, Osha Cerese, and this is where culture meets coaching, where healing meets headlines, and where we utilize alchemy to transmute gossip into growth. Happy Monday. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do that now. If you're watching from any other platform other than YouTube, make your way over to YouTube. It's linked in my bio, youtube.com/@Osha And if you just so happen to scroll upon me while I'm live on YouTube, go ahead and hit the subscribe button as well as the bell to keep your notifications on, because this is a late night pop-up show. Monday through Friday, we are right here, okay? So, again, I am Osha Cerese, certified life coach, event curator, and your dream doula, supporting you with birthing your ideas into reality. So, before we get into the show, I'm on my lemonade again tonight, y'all. This is episode 53. So, cheers to episode 53. Cheers to happiness, great health, love, abundance, freedom, bliss, joy, all great things, and a wonderful episode 53. Cheers. So, as I just was saying, I gotta get my gulp on when it's a good drink. This is a weeknight, late weeknight show. Usually Monday through Friday. We started out February 1st and we did every day, weekends included. And since March, we've been doing it weeknights. So Friday was actually the first night that I actually had a show scheduled and did not do it. There's some reasons that I won't share or get into, and there's some reasons that I will share. So I already knew I was going out Friday night. Now, y'all know, if you watched the week before, the previous Friday night, you will know that I went live from on location. I knew I was going to be somewhere that night. I set it up. I made sure that I would stream live for you all from where I was. But this past Friday, my intention was to do the same, because I was debating if I was going to do an earlier show and come live prior to going out, or if I was going to go live while I was out or on my way in or when I got back. But here's what happened. First of all, I ended up getting a very serious phone call on Friday from a friend that needed me to hold space for them, which I did. And I'm grateful that they reached out to me in their time of need. And so that did take the time where I was getting ready to, prepare to go out, and where I possibly was considering doing the show before I went out. So it's not his fault. It's okay. It's just I was shifted in a different direction. So definitely couldn't fit it in then. I was invited by one of my good girlfriends. Shout out to El Monet 444 on IG. Check her out. Check her movement, Original Cowboy Club. Um, check that out. But I was invited to celebrate 404 Day. So she's a Georgia girl, been in Atlanta for a while. She's grew up out a little bit outside of Atlanta. This was my first time celebrating 404 Day, and I've been in Atlanta for going on 11 years. So I was excited to go out. And, Auntie don't go out much, but, if I trust my friends and I trust the type of environments that they invite me to, because, ain't no foolishness going on. We just there to have a good time. That's it. So anyway, she invited me to go to an event where 2 Chainz was going to be performing. And yeah, so that event was like from 8 to 12. So I was thinking, okay, if I don't do the show while I'm out, because I'm going to be at an event, I could do it either on my way in or when I get home, and it'll just be like a super late night show, middle of the night, maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30. My folks will still be up. Cool. What had happened was we had a great time. It was like some type of like a DJ mix type vibe. So it was like two DJs, I think. And I thought that they were like, I was afraid when I got there that they was gonna be playing like only music I don't even know. But they played music that we grew up on, like millennials, excuse me, millennial music. So it was like, they was playing all the classic Atlanta music, of course, because it was 404 Day. So that was a vibe. And then 2 Chainz came and performed like a little after 11 o'clock. Not a full performance because it was a free event actually. He did like 4 or 5 songs. I love me some 2 Chainz. Enjoyed it. It was a vibe. So I had invited my other homegirl to come meet us out before I got there when I was on my way. And she was like, cool, I'm gonna come through a little later. But she ended up coming so late that by the time she got there, it was at capacity. So she couldn't get in until a lot of people came out, and nobody was leaving until they saw 2 Chainz. So as soon as 2 Chainz was over, people left out. She was able to come in. So stayed there for a while. I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna be here partying until 12. We ended up deciding we wanted to go somewhere else. She invited one of her friends, who I've hung out with a couple times. She's one of the people in this picture here. So that was like my second time hanging out with her. Friday night was the third time. She's a vibe. Love her too. So shout out to Melissa and Pre. And check out Melissa's website, feelfreeclub.com. I believe that's her website, or Feel Free Club on Instagram. She is a sustainable space designer. She helps with decluttering and organizing people's homes and commercial spaces, and like clearing the energy and just helping people be more organized and sufficient. Also with green spaces as well. So anyway, we decided we were going to go up the street to the club that was a little further down, drive up a block or two, go in there. We walk up and we ain't see nobody that looked like us except for the security guard. So we like, what's up with tonight? How's the vibe? He's like, yeah, they playing house music tonight, but it's Asian night. Not that we can't party with Asian people. It's just like we was looking for more of like a R&B, hip hop, or Caribbean type vibe. So we figured that we pondered for a little while, and we ended up going to a Caribbean spot, and it was a whole vibe. It's something about partying with Caribbean people or African people. It's like a different type of energy. I enjoy it. Of course, I enjoy partying with my Black people too. I did that for the first half of the night, Black Americans. But we went to the Caribbean spot. It was a vibe. Like the energy is like, it's something about Caribbean music and Caribbean movement and dance and rhythm that has a different type of energy. And I was just vibing out with it that night. Like everybody on the dance floor was dancing, the men, the women, a vibe. I posted a few clips on my story on Instagram. They're not up there no more, but maybe I'll do a reel. We'll see. They didn't close till 4 a.m. I think we got there around maybe right before 2. They're located right next to a Jamaican restaurant. I know I was starving. My homegirl had got some tacos, but they didn't have no vegan tacos available, so I couldn't order. And there was another food stand at the place where we tried to go to that it was Asian night. It was outside. They didn't have any vegan options, so I was starving. So we left the club around 3 to go next door to the restaurant that also stayed open till 4. And we ordered just some vegan. Well, yeah, everybody ordered veggie plates. She ordered jerk chicken, but me and my homegirl Melissa, we ordered rice and peas, cabbage, plantains, and I had a veggie patty as well. Chef kiss. Flavorful, delicious, amazing, perfect. Hit the spot. Absolutely. What's up, Vigilante? I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Why is this not? reggae or Afro beats. They definitely played both, but it was a Jamaican spot, so it was Caribbean, mostly Caribbean. They played a little bit of Afro beats, and they had a little tiny mix of hip hop towards the end of the night. But it was a whole vibe. I really enjoyed it. And speaking of just being out, before I move on to the actual topics, like, y'all know I host events for singles. I do a little matchmaking. I do the speed dating. I do all the things. I'm a coach, all that. But I'm single as well. So I be outside, you know, keeping myself open to be approached or to, you know, attract who is there, who is here for me, who is designed for me. So I would say, first of all, I was looking good. I had my little shorts on, had my little legs out or whatever. I kept it casual because the first event was, you know, it's packed. It's a little concert. I was going to wear heels to the event. And when I looked at everybody in the line, I'm like, these fools here damn near look dusty. They weren't dusty. They were just like super casual. But on 404 day, I guess people are like bar hopping and going all over the place. So people got on flats, whatever. So I had on some platform sandals, shorts, fanny pack, linen top, button up, head wrap. And I was going to keep that look for the Caribbean spot too. But as I was trying to pay for my parking, I stepped in some dog mess. I was livid. So luckily I keep me a pair of shoes handy. So I switched into some heels. It's okay. We worked it out. It wasn't that far that we were parked, so I was cool. So anyway, okay. So you know, with Caribbean clubs, you know, you're dancing you're whining, you're grinding, you're dancing very provocatively. And it's a vibe. It's the culture. So we definitely did some whining and some grinding and all that. I danced with one guy, and he could dance too. I could tell that he knows how to manipulate energy. That's what I'm gonna say on that. He did a little. We had a little language going on that was without words, and I understood what he was saying. What he was saying, I was picking up what he was putting down. But anyway, we danced once, or not once, but we danced, you know. And at one point, I guess he thought that I was his woman for the night, because all of a sudden he left for a minute. I ain't see him. And I look up and he's coming across the dance floor with 2 cups, all excited to try to hand me a cup so we can drink. No, sir. I appreciate the gesture. You're super sweet. I really do feel like you are handing me this with the greatest of intentions. And he's like, I just want us to have a drink. I cannot accept a drink that I did not see being poured. And I don't know you. So unfortunately, I had to turn down the drink, and he tried to offer it to me several times. I turned around to my homegirl like, you want the drink? I did that only because I knew she would say no as well. And yeah, so I think he felt kind of embarrassed because we were literally standing right below the DJ booth. So the whole club was probably watching. So he just poured the drink into his cup and drank it. But just a reminder to you ladies, you cannot accept a drink that you have not seen poured, because you never know. You never know. Why is this doing this like that? Vigilante says, translation, he wasn't that attractive and not his type or her type. That's not the translation. I would not accept, even if he was the finest man I've ever seen, I would not accept a drink that I don't see poured. And that's just a safety tip for any woman. If you don't see it being poured, if you're not right there when it's happening, you can't accept it. He was a stranger. He was, he was attractive enough for me to dance with him, but I don't care how attractive he is. I didn't see the drink being poured. So there was another guy that had came, and literally, I didn't even see him walk up, honestly. All I felt was somebody grab me by the waist, really the hips, and pull me towards them. And I'm looking like I was thrown off because I was a little under the influence. So I'm strobe lights is everywhere. I was under the influence. I'm looking like, who the hell? And I look up and I'm like, what's up? He was like, I want to dance. And I was like, I'm resting right now. I'm hot. So then he walked back to wherever he came from. And I'm like, I hope he didn't walk all the way over here to ask me to dance, because he looked a little embarrassed when I said no. And I have to get over that too. My friend got me all the way together, because I be feeling bad for things that I'm not even supposed to feel bad about. Like, it's just a dance, but I know some people really take it to heart when they're turned down. So I was feeling like, I hope he didn't come all the way over here and whatever. Like, that's my own thing that I have to work on. Another thing, I saw a guy in the VIP. He was attractive. I felt his energy. I saw him across the room. I noticed him, and I felt him walking closer to where I was. And I looked, but I didn't pay him no mind. I saw him in my peripheral. So then at one point I did look up and we caught eyes, and he was just kind of looking, and he kind of says, like, he did a gesture, like and I was just like, and kept it moving. So in that moment, he wanted me to, I guess, walk up to VIP to come talk to him. No, if you want to talk to me, you need to bring your ass out of the VIP and come over here to the DJ booth area where I'm at. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I ended up, like I said, I posted some stories from that night and I tagged the place. They reposted it. And that same guy that I saw in VIP was viewing my stories and liking them. Sir, that's not going to get me to come slide in your DMs. So my question is, do men want to be pursued these days? Because that is something that we're known for doing. Instead of us shooting our shot or sliding into a DM or letting a man know that we're attracted, we'll do something like a picture, and that's to give you the green light to come talk. It's not going to work for me. I'm sorry. I'm wondering why these comments are not doing like they normally do, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. So that's a question for any fellow that's watching. Do y'all want to be pursued? What's going on? What's that all about? Because it's not going to work for me. But yeah, I had a good time, and I think we left. I put out the damn restaurant because we were trying to sit and eat. They're like, we close in 5 minutes. So we devoured the food as much as we could, headed on in. I sat in the garage listening to music for about an hour before I came in the house. Car was off. And yeah, took me another hour to unwind, shower, and relax and go to sleep. So I didn't go to sleep till about 7 o'clock on Saturday. So I definitely slept in most of Saturday. I got some good rest, some much needed rest. And Sunday yesterday, I didn't do as much work, but I didn't get as much rest. It was a nice balance. So here I am, I'm back. So that is why, if you're wondering why I didn't come live on Friday, that is why. So let's get into this. Y'all know it's Stress Awareness Month, National Stress Awareness Month in the month of April. So we're going to be talking a little bit about stress and different factors that cause stress, different ways to heal stress, and all of the things. And today I wanted to talk about the stress that comes from unhealed wounds and childhood trauma. That inner child healing is real, it's needed, and it's just, I'm gonna leave it at, because I have some stories to share, but they're not really my stories to share. But I'm just saying, people have shared things with me recently that it's just unfortunate of how many traumatic events we have experienced, or people have experienced in their childhood, that are affecting them to this day. And some people don't realize that it is. And it's just really sad to see those type of things manifest into adulthood and relationships. But that younger self is always within you. Your inner child is always within you. And you can ignore the pain or you can process it. So, again, um, I talked about this a little bit last week, but just like making sure that your younger self knows and feels safe now. So, whatever it is that you've been through in your past, whether you were in a um, violent household or you experienced some abandonment or neglect or bullying or silencing or whatever it is that you've been through in your childhood, to just remind yourself that you are now safe, you are now out of that situation, and you have to find ways to feel safe within your body. um, Knowing and understanding that sometimes you have to heal without receiving that apology or that comfort or that reassurance from the people who hurt you. Um, that could be a part of your process. It's been a part of mine, reaching out, writing letters, saying how I feel about certain things. But you don't always get the reaction that you're looking for. And you have to understand and come to grips with the fact that the people that have hurt you or the people that have put you or placed you in certain traumatic experiences may or may not be the ones that help heal you on your journey. So whether you get the apology or the accountability or whatever that you're looking for, you still have to do the work to heal the wound. Um, so I will say some of the tips I have for healing that inner child. Of course, journaling is always going to help. Journaling from the perspective of your younger self is something that we don't often practice, but it is a great practice to do. I hosted a 5 day, it ended up being a 4 day. We minimized it to a 4 day imposter syndrome workshop back in 2021. And one of the exercises that we did was to journal, like do an inner child journaling activity. And one of my participants in the workshop was suggesting that if you write with your non-dominant hand, it kind of gives off like um, childhood type writing. And sometimes you're able to tap into something a little deeper when you do it that way. So I will pass on that suggestion and try writing with your non-dominant hand from your inner child's perspective. One of the other tools to heal childhood trauma and unhealed wounds from your past is reparenting yourself. Literally becoming the parent that you always needed, or saying the words that you needed to hear, providing yourself with the experiences you needed to have. Um, you have to affirm yourself. You have to be the one that pours in that good energy and those good affirmations and reassures and validates yourself, because we often, especially if you've been through things in your childhood, you look for a lot of outside validation, you look for outside acceptance, you look for people to understand you, and you crave for people to see you and understand who you are and really hear you out. And sometimes you don't unfortunately get that. Sometimes you are misunderstood and you can't rely on people seeing you. You have to see yourself. You have to affirm yourself. You have to validate yourself. You have to reparent yourself. Um, so whatever ways that resonates for you, like looking back, the journaling exercises to bring out like, what is it that I needed in my childhood that I didn't receive, or what am I still hurting from in my childhood that is still affecting me to this day? And then that's how you determine what you need to do in order to reparent yourself. Of course, seeking safe spaces and seeking therapy is always going to be one of the number one suggestions. Talk therapy is really helpful, but it's just one modality of healing. Sometimes people need more than talk therapy. Sometimes you need um, some healing because the trauma is kept in your body. So you need some type of practice that allows you to expel that stress and that trauma from your body. So finding a healer that does body work, maybe they're doing energy work like Reiki. Maybe it's some type of healing touch, whether it's massage or some type of um, retreat that you can go on where you're able to really focus on getting that energy that is stored in your body out. I went to a retreat in 2020. Was it 21 or 22? I can't remember if it was 20, I think it was 2022. And we did like primal scream therapy. And when I tell you, it had us crying like babies on the floor. And after that experience, I literally felt so light and so free. Um, a sense of heaviness just released from me, just from being able to scream and cry it out. So finding somebody that is a healer that has other methods. I've seen Reiki practitioners who do more than just the energy healing with the hands. They also, I've seen some practitioners burying people where they, grounding them literally in the soil and doing work that way. There are practitioners that do some really, really super, super deep massage to literally get that energy from people's bodies using a tool or using their hands to push it out and get those knots out. So finding places that resonate with you. If it's if it's body work, if it's spiritual healing, if it's you need a hug, if it's you need to join a run club, to exercise with people, you got to find what works best for you. And creating boundaries, of course, because when you're on your journey of healing, it's a very sensitive time, and everybody doesn't understand. Some people will try to discourage you because maybe they were contributing factors of why you need to heal, or maybe they just can't see it for themselves. They don't get it, they don't understand it, so they judge you, criticize you, or make you feel like you're not on the right path. So setting boundaries is always going to be helpful when you are reparenting yourself, healing those old wounds, whatever it is that you are doing to just get through that unhealed trauma. And, forgiving yourself. I had to stop judging my younger self because we always say phrases like, oh, I was so young and dumb, and, just really tearing down our younger selves. But did your younger self know any better? And if they did, what were the situations that they were going through in order for them to make the poor decisions that they made? Or because your younger self did all of these things or went through all of these things, how about being grateful to your younger self for experiencing the things that they went through in order for you to learn the lessons from them and do better as an adult or as you are growing up. So criticize less criticism for the younger self and more gratitude, more understanding. If the judgment and the criticism is coming from you about your younger self, how can you truly heal your younger self by constantly inflicting shame and embarrassment on the choices that they made? And another tip I have for healing your inner child is literally immersing yourself in those type of energies and experiences and vibes, the nostalgia of the time when you were younger. Because I'm sure that there were some times or some pieces of your life that weren't trauma. So being able to revisit that time through music, through visuals, something with your senses that remind you of your younger years when you're journaling is really helpful. Like creating a playlist of the music that you listened to back then. I feel like every portion of our life, every segment of our life has a soundtrack. So I know when I was super young, like, you know, preteen, teenager, that soundtrack is gonna be. I was listening to some R&B and some grown folks music then, but I also love me some B2K and some Bow Wow and some Mario and all of that. So creating a playlist when you journal. Maybe you might bake something that your grandmother or your parent used to bake that you always loved. Um, Putting yourself in that energy as you are doing some healing work is always helpful as well. So that's what we're going to keep that today. But definitely do the work. Spend some time with your younger self, speaking life into them, letting them know that you are safe now. You are okay. It is okay. You forgive them, you forgive yourself, and you appreciate them. Um, Go also get your pictures and go down memory lane. Go through your box of pictures or your phone or wherever you keep your images of your younger self, and just spend some time looking at yourself, looking at your younger self, look in their eyes, look at them, like not just look at the picture like, oh yeah, this was when, like really look at yourself, and spend some time with your younger self and connect with your younger self and reparent your younger self, and I promise it will be helpful. So we're going to shift gears a little bit, because speaking of judging, I said I don't judge my younger self. I encourage you not to judge your younger self. But one of the things that I noticed, and I've talked about this on the show probably last week or the week before, whenever I did, is people missing the message by judging the messenger. It happens all the time. I definitely talked about it on the episode when I was mentioning Sherry Shepherd said something about Meg the Stallion wearing a provocative outfit to the Oscars after party. Um, well, over the weekend or sometime last week, Johnni Blaze, who is a rapper, she had an incident where she was trying to donate some toys or some supplies actually, and speak to um, some kids at, I believe it was her school that she used to once go to, and she was turned away by the principal. She says it was because of her shape and her image. So she says it was a middle school, so she had some supplies for them, and she was very hurt that they were not willing to let her in. Um, she took to social media saying that basically they stopped her from donating the items and speaking to the young girls because of her body shape. Um, and then she was eventually able to give the donations to the students after her video or her post went viral. So people have a difference of opinion about this. Many people feel like she's not, qualified to be talking to young girls nor even interacting with them at the school. Hold on one second. I don't know why it's doing that. Shout out to Gary Busted Down Brown. Thank you for pulling up. Um, so Johnni Blaze, I don't know much about her, so I looked up a few fun facts about her and her career. I can't even pronounce her real name. It's like, I don't know if the J is silent or the Z, but it's like Jzapal, like Japple or Zapple, Jazapple. I don't know. Jackson. She was born in 1990 in New York. Um, she's known for her work as a singer, reality TV personality, model, and video vixen. But when I looked her up, I believe it says stripper next to her name. And I'm thinking, out of all the talents and the things that she does, why is that the first thing that pops up when you Google her? But it definitely says Johnni Blaze, stripper. Says that she grew up in a family of German and African American descent. She was one of 8 children, or she is one of 8 children. And she developed her passion for music early on, teaching herself to play instruments like the piano, acoustic and bass guitar, violin, clarinet, and drums. And she aspired to attend the Juilliard Performing Arts School but was not accepted despite her musical talents. Some of her career highlights: she gained recognition as a model and video vixen. She appeared in music videos for Chris Brown and French Montana. And she was also in magazines like King and Hip Hop Weekly. In 2014 to 2015, she was on Love and Hip Hop New York. And during that time, she definitely was getting into some things. She had her fiery personality, but she did get into some tussles or whatever. Beyond television, let's see. She has been pursuing her career in music. She's been releasing R&B tracks and tracks that highlight her vocal abilities. I've seen her doing a lot of content showing off her instrumental skills, and she definitely is very talented actually. She was on Growing Up Hip Hop Atlanta in 2017 and 2021. 2013, she tragically lost her boyfriend to gun violence. Let's see, she's been in several publicized disputes and controversies, including altercations with other celebrities, legal issues, and she has been open with her battles with depression and mental health challenges. She's been using her platform to raise awareness and advocate for mental health support. And she has candidly discussed her experiences with plastic surgery, addressing both the physical and emotional aspects, and emphasizing the importance of self-acceptance. I did see that she recently performed at what's that what's that festival? I can't think of the dang old festival name. Let me look it up. I don't follow her on any platform, so I don't remember the name of the festival. Y'all know the festival I'm talking about where all the rappers perform. It's twice a month. Let me look it up right here. I mean, twice a year. My bad. She performed. Is it? No, it's not. Rolling Loud. Couldn't think of that for anything. So yeah, she just performed at Rolling Loud. So she's working on her career. But people definitely had mixed feelings about her talking to the girls. And I understand that of course you have to screen and vet people to speak to kids, especially when they have been controversial in the news, in the blogs, on TV. You want to make sure that you're giving young ladies appropriate role models and all of that. But at the same time, women that have been through a lot of things, women who have overcome a lot of things, women who have lived a life, they do have value in speaking to young girls about how not to go down that path, how to get success, and how to be intelligent and talented without having to make the decisions of going in a challenging route or a difficult route. So I believe that there is value in young people learning from certain celebrities who have been through some things. Like I said, everybody has their different opinions. Like if I've seen Sexy Red perform at certain schools, she would not be like, her music is not child appropriate, kid appropriate. Her image is not kid appropriate, but is there something of value that she can tell young girls? I'm sure there is. There's a time and a place for everything. But the same thing I say about, like, if Beyonce was to come and talk to girls, everybody would be signing their young ladies up to talk to her. And she's not, of course, her image is not comparable to a Sexy Red, but her image is also not all the way child appropriate either. She wears leotards and talks about sex and all of the things that all these other artists do. She just does it in a different type of way. So I always say, you know, you have to be careful when it comes to missing the message by judging the messenger. Gary Busted Down Brown says, when you judge the messenger more times than not, you will miss the message. Absolutely. And I'm a firm believer that you can learn from anybody. And even with this interview that I just did, or I did it last month, but it was just published. And I'm sharing some of my story of the things that I went through 10 and 20 years ago in relationships with my ex-husband and in a situationship. And some of the people in the comments are saying, oh, I wouldn't dare take advice from her. She could not be my life coach. I wouldn't dare allow her to advise me on anything. And I'm thinking, that's fine. You know, I don't have to advise anybody on anything that doesn't want to take my advice or have my support on their journey. I respect that wholeheartedly. But it's interesting that if I'm coaching people on supporting them with their journey of healing, healing after heartbreak, healing after a toxic relationship, after an abusive relationship, supporting them on their journey of getting their ideas out and figuring out how they can utilize them, how to utilize their gifts, whatever it is that I'm doing as a coach, which is my particular gifts that I'm sharing. If you're going to base the things that the decisions that I made 10 or 20 years ago off of my credibility and qualifications to teach and coach people on how not to do what I did or how to overcome the things that I did without them having to take that same route, to me, that doesn't make sense. But again, to each their own. Everybody has to choose who they want to support them. Greetings, realists. Thank you for pulling up. So, again, I think that that's very interesting. And when I see comments like that under posts when I'm sharing about my personal journey or certain decisions that I made in the past, and I've seen it on other people's comments or videos that are coaches or whatever, and it makes me wonder, like, do people actually think that, life coaches, therapists, mental health professionals are some type of perfect person that like exists only in fairy tales? Like they're somewhere just, they've been a monk or a nun all their lives and they've just been somewhere in meditation and deep thought and connected to source and just this perfect being that someone goes and opens a door and says, it's time, we need you to come coach the people. Do you know that most mental health and wellness professionals are people that have been through the worst shit? There is no perfect therapist, mentor, counselor, coach, preacher, pastor, healer. Most of your professionals in the wellness space or healing business or anyone with gifts, anyone that is supporting somebody on their journey, it's because they've been where that person is now. And in most cases, people prefer to have someone support them on something that they've gone through themselves. It's not always. Sometimes, there's plenty of things that we can learn from a textbook, from a class, from a course, from college, whatever route, because therapists, doctors, coaches, whatever, licensed, certified, whatever your field is in this space, you do have to be educated. You do have to learn, the techniques and the tools, but there's also your own life experience and wisdom that you can also learn from as well. But some people prefer the people who have only learned from the textbooks, and that's fine too. You have to figure out what works for you. Because even when I was I call myself a dream doula now, supporting people with birthing their ideas into reality. Before I was that, I was also a labor doula, a nurse, and all type of other professions. But I was a labor doula before. And guess what? I've never given birth. So I am able to support a woman through labor. And based on, excuse me, y'all, allergies kicking in. based on what I've learned from my doula training, based on what I know about a woman's anatomy and what a woman needs, what type of support a woman would need, but I definitely cannot relate to the pain of childbirth. So as much as I could support a woman through that, I don't personally know what it feels like. So even though I'm completely equipped and qualified to do it, there may be a woman or a family who prefers a doula who is actually giving birth herself. There's men doulas these days too, so it's not unusual for a doula to not have actually given birth. But there are some families, some mothers who prefer a woman who can actually relate to that pain, because as I'm trying to soothe you or get you to calm down or give you certain pressure, push certain pressure points and give you all these tools to get through and breathe and have your baby, you may be looking at me like, girl, you don't even know what the hell, how this feels. So I don't even want to hear you. So again, I understand that. And there are some people who feel the same way about the coach that they choose or the therapist that they choose. Now, therapists are most likely not able to be as transparent, like in a session or whatever. There are some therapists that don't really have social media followings. They might work for a company, get all their clients through whatever company they work for. So they don't really have to do a lot of social media marketing. But there are a lot of therapists who make content now that are also content creators, and they share their own personal struggles too. So I don't know what makes people think that therapists, coaches, healers ain't never been through nothing. It's possibly because you just don't know them like that. If you have a therapist that you got through your insurance at work, most likely you're not following them on social media, or you don't know them personally to even know what the hell they've been through, and they're not going to be able to tell you in a session. So it is what it is. But just so you know, newsflash, buddy, there's no perfect mental health wellness professional. I'm just letting you know that right now. And some of these therapists and different people, a lot of the things that they've been through is not just in their past. Some of them are currently going through it. Some of them hold space for people and give them all the great advice and all the tips and all the tools that they've learned. And they're still dealing with bullshit when they get to the house. They don't know how to set boundaries. They're possibly in an abusive relationship. They might have a toxic, traumatic relationship with one of their parents. They're human. So there's their profession, and then there's their real life. And some people are transparent, me, and some people aren't. So that's just a side note, because a lot of people judge me and my story and think that that makes me unqualified to be a coach, when I think it's the very opposite. But that's just me. So with Johnni Blaze, she did end up being able to speak to the girls. And again, I just feel like when it comes to judging her, yes, she has done some things that aren't something that you would want your little girl to do. She, as far as saying her body shape, I think that's inappropriate, because there are young girls, even in middle school, that are shapely, that are already probably feeling self-conscious about their bodies. Um, so even to make that the focal point, I get it, but at the same time, I think it could have been handled differently, because if you're going to end up letting her do it anyway when it goes viral, why not just, if she is wanting to do something for these young ladies, send out something to the parents and ask how they feel about it. And if some of the parents are not interested in letting her talk to them, then let it be like a private thing where the kids, that parents say that she can have a little small group of people that she could talk to. But I'm glad she was able to rectify the situation. I often will tell people, because this is, what I was just talking about as far as being judged for my story and things that I've experienced back in the day. That's not the only time I'm judged, because I also have a youth program myself. And so sometimes I battle with, you know, having a personal life, being a grown woman who's also liberated and free. And, you know, I'm a multifaceted woman. So some of my content on my page might be adult content, not like explicit, like I'm doing any type of OnlyFans content or anything like that. But I might have a little leg showing, or I might be dancing, or I might be on a podcast talking about sex or whatever it is. It might be a podcast clip around floating around of me talking about sex or whatever, relationships. Um, but I also have a separate page for my youth program and things like that. And anybody that has ever worked with me over the years who has had their children go through my program, we're cool, we're close. The parents follow me. They like me. They know how I am in the spaces with the kids. It's always appropriate. It's always a safe space. And the people that, like my cousin likes to say, the people that get it, and the ones that don't. So when I was working on getting my youth program down here in Atlanta, because I've only ever really done it in Colorado, where I'm from. Even when I moved to Atlanta, I would still host my summer camps in Colorado. So I was working on getting one of my first ones here in Atlanta, and someone had actually suggested that they would send out a blast to some of their mom friends at a private school. I didn't ask, they offered. So I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. Thank you. So as I was following up with them, like, oh, did you ever send the blast out to the moms? And they were like, yeah, I did. But then when I left from them that day, they texted me and was like, oh yeah, if you have any content on your page, like when you went to that nude beach, because I went to a nude beach a couple of springs ago, like 2 years ago, in Miami. Mind you, the pictures don't show my full body. It shows me from the cleavage up. It shows that I'm at the nude beach. I'm talking about it, but I'm not naked on the internet. So she's like, if you have any content like that, I would suggest you make your page private, because those type of moms are going to Google you. And I get what she was saying. I get the concern, but I also know that if somebody Googles me, that's not what's going to come up. When you Google me, you're going to see a lot of different social media platforms. You're going to see podcasts. You're going to see some of the youth program things that I've done. And I would hope that a parent would judge me based on the things that they see, not scrolling down on my personal IG. Because I think I had been to the beach probably, at that point, it had been maybe like 8 months prior. So if you scrolling down my IG to see that I went to the beach and you tripping, then that's fine too. I don't like judgmental people, period. And I get people need to protect their children. So if you feel that your child couldn't benefit from the program that I have to offer because I went to the beach, then that's fine. So I just feel that we often miss the message by judging the messenger. I feel that two things can exist at once. Putting too much pressure on people to be perfect in their roles is just unreasonable. And it's funny because I saw Drewski did a skit today where he was talking about like the behind the scenes of people that do children content, and they were smoking and doing drugs and talking provocatively to each other. And I'm like, that's real talk, because even teachers, principals, all these people are humans. I remember being in middle school and there was a controversy of the principal sleeping with one of the teachers, and these folks are human beings. So there's a lot of it is hidden, but especially when now that we're grown and we know people that are in our circle that are teachers and counselors and professionals, and we know what they do on the weekends, stop judging folks. These are just adult people that have professions. If people want to give back to the youth, there's thugs, rappers, killers, drug dealers that go back and give back to their youth, and people compartmentalize it. But when it comes to women and their image, all of a sudden it's like, you can't do that because you do this. So miss me with that. I get it, but I don't. Anyway, I want to also talk briefly about the Kenya Moore situation from Real Housewives, because we talked about it last week, but the new episode came out on yesterday. So It's a mess, y'all. Kenya Moore and this new lady, Brit Eady, have been having some type of little tension. Really, it's been on Britney's end. Brit, whatever she goes by. Like Portia said on this past episode, it seems as if Britney had what is it? Preconceived notion about Kenya. So Kenya is known for being shady and being a diva and being bougie and instigating things, being passive aggressive, being aggressive, whatever she's known for. So it seems as if Brit kind of already had her guard up when it comes to her interaction with Kenya, because the little things that were pissing Brit off that Kenya was doing this season so far didn't even seem like that big of a damn deal for real. Like, she asked her, was she married, because she had a wedding ring on, but not the band. Like, she had the big ring that usually you would get as an engagement ring, but then there's usually a wedding band that comes along with it. She didn't have a band on. So she said, oh, are you married or are you engaged? And she was like, oh, I'm married. And so there was a little back and forth about the ring. Brit got offended about that. Then when they're at the dinner that why can't I never remember that lady's name? I know it starts with A, right? The other lady hosted. Hold on, let me put some respect on her name, y'all. Angela. The dinner that Angela Reed hosted, Kenya wasn't really engaging with Brit. Like, she gave her a hug, one of the little pats, and Brit felt away about that, announced that, oh, you just barely hugging me, you tapping me. So it was just like, what's up? Why are you that pressed for this woman's attention? So anywho, they played a game. I'm recapping because I already talked about this last week, but they played a game where they were pulling questions, and one of the questions that Brit got was, can Kenya be cordial to her? And Kenya was like, yes, I can be cordial to everybody. And she was like, no, it's about me. Can you be cordial to me? So they went back and forth about that. Kenya was like, okay, let me let you have your moment. She said, oh, you can't give me a moment. And she was like, you're trying to have a moment. Kenya said, I am a moment. And then she said something about a queen doesn't pay peasants any attention. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Brit turned up after that. She couldn't handle the back and forth shade, which comes along with being a cast member of Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's what they do. And all of a sudden, she started talking about how she had a pistol on her in her purse. She got whips and pistols and all of this stuff. And Kenya Moore disengaged from the conversation, but she heard everything that Brit was saying. So she felt threatened. Like, why are you mentioning that you have your gun on you and you got all these weapons and you on some rah-rah stuff? So it happened. They moved on from that. Well, really, nobody moved on from it, but Brit felt like when she calmed down, I guess when she thought about it, when she sobered up, whatever the issue was, that she was remorseful for how she handled herself and was apologetic and wanted to extend an olive branch to Kenya. Kenya was planning her big grand opening for her hair care spa. And so she was having a big grand opening celebration. So Brit decides to write her a really heartfelt letter, according to her, and bring her some flowers to this grand opening. Kenya did not really receive the flowers. She barely acknowledged her, and it was tense. So Brit ended up leaving after she dropped the flowers off, and Kenya called everyone's attention. Can I get everybody's attention, please? And she gave a speech about how this woman has been coming for her. And the speech led up to, well, first she thanked everybody for coming to the grand opening. She had said that she spent her daughter's college fund to open this hair care spa. So it's supposed to be very important. The grand opening looked beautiful. There were flowers and balloons everywhere. There was a fashion show, hair show. All of this effort, time, energy, money put into this big event. But Kenya called everyone's attention to thank them for it. But then she went into what Brit had done to her. After she talked about the situation, she had 3 cardboard blown up presentations to show the crowd. The first cardboard blow up was, I guess, the plastic surgeries that Brit has had. So it was before and after, they blurred it out. Then the second one was, I guess, of her video vixen days. And Kenya Moore was like, well, I've been in some videos too, but I was the leading lady. I was getting racks for my appearances. You know, she was a video hoe. Then the third presentation was some explicit X-rated pictures that I apparently had already been leaked of Brit performing fellatio on some man. So it's a battle of the internet as to who was wrong and how it should have been handled. So up until this time, everybody has been pretty much not respecting what Kenya Moore did, understanding why Bravo decided not to tape with her for the rest of the season, and pretty much on Brit's side, basically calling what Kenya did revenge porn. I don't condone any type of revenge content either, because I think that that's distasteful. I think that is messed up, especially if it's something that was done in private, shared in private, whatever, and then somebody exposes a person. Now, I don't know if this would be technically considered revenge content because it was already public. It was already public, but for her to display it at her event to a new crowd of people that didn't go searching for it, it is revengeful, but I don't know if it would be considered revenge porn. But now that people are able to see both sides and see that Brit was threatening Kenya's life, they feel like they're having like this justice for Kenya campaign going on. I think 2 things can exist at once. I think both women were wrong, but I think that it should have been handled the same way across the board. I think that if Bravo felt like they didn't want to condone that type of behavior, then both women should have been excluded from being taped this season. Or if they were going to condone one person's behavior and accept it and allow them to work it out amongst themselves, then both ladies should have been allowed to stay on. So I don't think that it was appropriate for them to stop taping with Kenya and continue to tape with Brit, because me personally, I don't take threats lightly. I don't care if there's cameras involved. I don't care if you was under the influence or what you got going on. But if you tell me you got your blicky on your purse in the middle of us arguing, I don't find that cute or funny. So I think that she should have been disciplined just as much, or she should have had consequences. I don't want to say discipline because she's grown, but she should have had just as many consequences as Kenya. I will say that sometimes when someone pushes your buttons to a certain point, that you really can't dictate how the other person is going to respond, but then that other person also has to know that there's consequences in the way that they respond as well. So I don't know what the future holds for Kenya and her peach, if she's able to return next season or what, but I definitely think that they could have done the same action across the board. Either you gonna sweep it under the rug and let them both continue on. It kind of reminds me of the argument with Spice and Erica Mena on Love and Hip Hop. They both went low, but Erica Mena's was more colorist, possibly racist, depending on what you consider Erica Mena to be. I don't know what her nationality is, but Spice said something to Erica Mena about her son not loving her, which is a trigger point for Erica Mena, and Erica Mena called Spice a blue monkey. Spice wears blue wigs, blue hair, and she's a black woman. So being called a monkey as a black woman is always going to have a racist connotation. Erica just said she meant it because she felt like the girl is ugly. I don't know. But they ended up firing Erica Mena once there was public outrage about it. So all these reality shows can be very messy and petty, And everybody is not equipped to go back and forth with shade and with jabs and with pettiness. You know, some people can't handle that. If you can't handle your words or matching people's energy with the words, stay off of these reality shows because you ain't gonna make it. You're not going to make it. But I'm gonna let y'all give y'all thoughts about that if you'd like. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in to my new series that I'm sharing. I feel that it is time to talk about certain things that I've healed through, whatever. But I think that when I did that interview and I was talking about my relationship with my ex and my situationship that I was in, something within me is feeling called to give more details and to talk more about it. Now, if you know the full story, you don't know the full story, but if you know enough from the interview that you watched, that I have under my post, if you haven't been able to check it out yet, on the Hopeless Romantic Society with J.C. Carter, you know that my ex-husband passed away. He was murdered. So I would say that, I met him. It'll be 20 years next month that I met him. And a lot of the things that I went through with him, I didn't talk about because maybe embarrassment or shame, or, not really wanting people to know all the ins and outs of my marriage. And then when he passed away, it was more so like, oh, you don't really want to talk a certain way about people who aren't here to defend themselves, or, I've been protecting his kids from knowing certain things about him that aren't in the best of light. But now his children are young adults. They know that they can reach out to me if they have any questions. And it's time for them to be able to know certain things anyway, because they're adults, like I said. So they may be having some struggles that he also had that I have the most insight of, because a lot of people did not experience the same version of him that I did. They didn't get the deep level of intimacy that I had with him, being with him for a span of 8 years. So it is a little, what's the word? I don't know the word. It's a little, it's not difficult, but it's kind of strange talking about these things out loud, because I don't mind. I'm an open book, and I've talked about a lot of the things out loud before that I've been through, but I never really identified who I went through it with. But I was sat with myself the other day because I was feeling like, should I not be talking about the things that I went through with him because of XYZ reasons? But when I sat with myself and asked myself why I feel compelled to do it now, my younger self, I feel like, feels silenced because I've only really talked about him publicly in the best of light. And because he's a whole person, a whole being, and I had a whole experience with him, I know that there's beautiful parts to him. There's great parts to him. He's amazing, intelligent, talented, um, you know, all the things that I can name about him that are wonderful. But there's other parts of him that were not so wonderful. And I went through a hell of a lot of things with him. So I feel like only acknowledging the light and not talking about the shadows, especially the ones that affected me directly, because it's a part of my story. Um, I feel like my younger self feels silenced in a way from having to be quiet about what she went through in order to protect his image, his reputation, or his children and family and loved ones. But again, everybody's pretty much grown now. He has one child who is underage, who was about 16 and a half. But she doesn't know me like that. And I think her mom does a good job of protecting her from whatever. So although I am sharing, it's not difficult for me to share in a sense of I feel any shame about it. It's just more so like an internal battle about being so transparent and identifying who it is, because I don't have a smidget of hate for my ex-husband. As much as I went through with him, and I'm not even gonna tell y'all everything that I went through with him on this platform. Some of it will be saved for when I write the book, but I still don't hate him at all. And we've already been through, what we went through. I forgave him. We reconciled. We started building a friendship right before he died. So again, I don't hate him, but not being able to tell my story in totality is almost like acting as if the shit didn't exist. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but thank you all for those who have been watching. It's a playlist. It's called Bride and Groomed. And for me to even talk about the interaction that I had with him and label it as being groomed, that's a big deal for me as well, because I never, I didn't think of it as that when I was with him, of course, because I was young and inexperienced and naive and just wanting to feel like, this is just a regular love story. But it's not. It's a love story, a ghetto one, a complicated one, but it's a love story. And a lot of people have similar love stories than I do. Similar experience to me when it comes to the things that I went through with him. And I feel like it's also for the young ladies who may run into this type of situation to kind of support them with making better decisions than I did. When people think of somebody grooming you or someone being inappropriate with a younger girl, they think a creep, old uncle or somebody that's, undesirable or whatever. Sometimes it's a charming young man that's got the gift of gab that is coming at you with ulterior motives. So just with me even saying that I was groomed is like, it's almost like a battle with myself, because the relationship that I experienced just in the mindset of that 16-year-old girl, I didn't feel that way. But as a grown woman looking back on certain things, yes, there was some grooming going on. So the series is called Bride and Groomed. And the first few videos is just about me talking about the first couple of years in a nutshell of some of the things that I experienced with my ex-husband. So I'm kind of like telling the story, and I'm also on YouTube. I've been adding in some AI generated visuals for those of you who need a visual. They're like cartoons. So, the AI stuff, when you make it look human, I didn't like the human look. It was just too much for me. So the cartoon version is not for kids, but it's animated so that you can kind of get a visual of the story that I'm telling. Like I said, ain't no cap in my rap. The stories are 100% true. It's not fabricated or embellished. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I will be dropping another episode tomorrow. And then I'll probably get into some other parts of our relationship. I might skip around, skip some years, skip some things, because again, I do want to write the book. I do feel like it deserves to be on the big screen, honestly. So certain things I won't talk about on the series, but I'll give you a lot of information. And if you have questions, you can always ask as well. Visit my website if you would like a coach that has been through some things, overcame some things, has some tools and some methods to support you. If you need support on your journey of healing, self-love, and self-discovery, you can go ahead and book a call to get your one-on-one coaching, or you can enroll in a course. I have a 6-week healing workshop called One Single Step at a Time. That is all about that inner child healing that we spoke about, shadow work, getting to know yourself, who you are, what you want, what you desire. Really get into some of the things that you may still be struggling with and unpacking that. And then we'll work on a plan of action for your future and keeping you accountable with that when it comes to life, love, and career. And it is a 6-week guided program. It comes with 6 weekly coaching sessions and the How to Beat Single guided journal. I have not updated my website with the new journal, but there's a new look because I know when I created this journal, the vision, the boxing gloves, how to beat single, is like overcoming the sometimes people are not really happy with their season of single. They want to get through it and get their relationship. But how to beat single means how to um, find joy in your season of single. And I put the boxing gloves because I thought it was a good play on words. But the book, it looks kind of masculine. And a lot of men can get this book too. There's some things that are specifically for women, but it's definitely a lot of tools in here that men can benefit from. And, it's not as feminine, the look. So I've done a new cover. It's available on Amazon, but I haven't added it to the website yet. But if you go to Amazon and type in Osha Cerese, you can look at the books that I have on there. Osha Cerese, you can book the course, 5 days, 5 ways in 5 days, as well as the self-love program, teaching you how to uncover any blockages you may have with receiving and giving love, as well as incorporating your love languages into your daily acts of self-love and self-care. And then, of course, you can always just book a call if you don't know where to start, or you can grab a journal if you want to just start without the guidance or the coaching. If you are an influencer, creative, content creator, business owner, you have some ideas, some gifts, you just don't know what to do with them, book a strategy session. It's on the website. Strategy session will get you together, whether it's with a plan, content plan, how to show up online, a niche, a digital product, ebook, wherever you need to start, I got you. Strategy session. And then if you are a single and intentional dater, a hopeful romantic, you need to be on the Intentional Love Collective. It is on my website as well. It's a growing database and community of singles. It allows me to be able to match make you or curate a singles event and invite you to an experience with people who match your values, standards, and preferences. So Intentional Love Collective is definitely something you need to be a part of. And also, I brought back my newsletters last Friday, but I'm calling them love letters now. So if you want to be on my love letter list, go and subscribe on my website as well. You will receive love letters directly into your email, and I look forward to sending them to you. So let's get into these journaling prompts, and we're going to wrap it up, y'all. It's midnight. So what childhood wound might still be impacting your daily life today? What childhood wound might be still impacting your daily life today? The next journaling prompt is doing a little shadow work based on the topic that we spoke on today. Have you ever judged someone's message because of who they were and why? That's the shadow work people need to be doing. Are you judging folks? Why are you judging people? Have you ever judged someone's message because of who they were and why? And how do you want to handle conflict moving forward? Petty or peaceful? Are you the when they go low, you go high type, or when they go low, you go to hell type? How do you want to handle conflict moving forward? Petty or peaceful? And that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my gripes, because I come on here and talk my ish too. And stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed. Please give me some feedback on the Bride and Groomed series. Let me know what you're thinking about how I've edited it with the visuals, the animated visuals. Does it help you to understand the story a little bit better? Are you feeling it? Are you not? Do you have any other questions specifically about what I experienced in that relationship? And if you need support, if you're going through it right now, things that I went through 20 years ago, tap in. If you are healing from a relationship or a breakup or transitioning with a breakup, definitely reach out. I can support you with that as well. And until next time, thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.